Jolt Radio.
Well, Aurelio and Bridget, here we are, Homework Gallery, and Bridget Hoffman and the
Hello.
show Dream Without Riders. So, it's a bit of story time here, right, Bridget?
It's story time.
And
Oh my
Aurelio.
God, my
So,
voice.
I have Aurelio here of Homework Gallery, and the story starts some time ago, actually. It starts online before any of us were in person, and that is the online with Homework Gallery. And one day, over a period of time, as it takes me, I've been watching this Homework Gallery online, and some work was there that I enjoy as I do. I peruse, and I can't remember, Bridget. Was it last year? The first time when I came to see we first met.
We first met last year. Yeah,
Last
at
year,
my
okay.
show with
Yeah.
Diane.
All right. So it was at that time, and I remember specifically contacting, and I reached out to Bridget to let her know that I was really appreciating some of this work that I had seen. Didn't know much about it or anything, and I later continued to follow her and asked for a meeting. And we met last year, and I would just say that this show is Dreams Without Riders. And in case we wouldn't know, but we're very spiritual beings, and that is sort of how it started. So in the room here, I have Aurelio. Hey, Aurelio.
Hey.
This is the
Hey, Leo.
Homework Gallery, and the artist, of course, Bridget. And I don't shy away from these spiritual occurrences. It's we have laid plans, and sometimes, or a lot of the times, things happen, and I'm a witness of magic, and we're on a radio show today simply because of magic. It is a journey and a story of going through time and a few magical occurrences. So now, I like to travel. You like to travel, Aurelio. And this homework gallery, we discovered we're sort of three flexible, agile, and somewhat nomadic leaning characters.
Yes.
Where have all of you been in terms of the gallery? Where has it been?
Well, the gallery started. The idea for the gallery started in my head in New York, being in working in galleries over there and being in sort of immersed in the art world over there and seeing, especially in New York, how uphill it is to start an emerging art gallery, brick and mortar. And the idea has always been to be a platform for emerging artists from around the world that we believe deserve a platform during key moments of the art world calendar. And I thought like having a brick and mortar space would be extremely limiting. So that was the seed that was planted to start a nomadic gallery that would follow this specific rhythm. And yeah, I partnered with my wife to get it started, and the pandemic hit, and we came down to Miami before it hit, but we were kind of stuck here. And we decided, well, let's make the best of it and start this gallery. And once we had the name, we were up and running. And yeah, we've been nomadic. We've been all over the place, Miami, New York, DR. So
Yeah.
the spirit of just being tied down to one space geographically never really never really tied us down.
Sure.
So a physical brick and mortar space doesn't tie us down either. So right now we have a permanent space in Little River, but we always like to keep that nomadic spirit. Like if this ends, it's not going to be a tragedy because we have that nomadic spirit that we can go
Yeah.
anywhere and keep it going, like we did for the 3 years prior to this space.
Right. And this is relevant at the moment because we are all aware that being in the arts that the headlines today is just which galleries are closing. That's just,
Exactly.
we just wake up and we open a book or a magazine and we just get the list of closures. Typically, big ones, that's what they care about. But we know that for a long time, this is every gallery from small to medium to large, and in the news will be there. And this is one of the things that struck me, though, Aurelia, about it, is because I never actually came to a physical space. I interacted with you and everything in a digital, not knowing exactly where anything was, but I had the access, drew me in terrifically. Okay, so it wasn't exclusive. I had the access. I was able to come in and, like I said, establish a relationship and then start to see the work. And then the catalyst, or we had a magical experience just a day or two ago.
Yeah, on Saturday.
At the gallery. And here I am in North Miami Court,
Yeah.
opposite Sonny's.
Opposite Sonny's, yeah, next to Primary.
Next to Primary. And walked in, beautiful, large, relatively large for Miami, considering. And there we had all of Bridget's work in this show. And of course, I come in and I'm meandering and we're talking and a million things a minute, as we do.
Yeah.
And Bridget, you good?
Yes.
Okay, all right. 'Cause
Just listening.
Bridget's here,
Yeah.
but this is a little bit about the homework gallery. And of course, I'm introducing to a space, and it was first time, and then seeing the work in there, and we began to talk because I experienced the work. And for me, seeing work is not like others, but I can only talk about my own experience. It's a relationship. So I have a relationship with the works that are sculptural or on the walls or whatever you're showing me, and you curated this and it's a curated exhibition. That's something else I want to point out. So it's not simply salon style. It's a curated show, and through it, the relationship and the conversations just started to flow. I couldn't even get through to 2 or 3 works. I mean, there's a lot of work in the show, and I don't think I made it just barely beyond the first of the door. And Bridget and I will talk a lot more about the work in the second half of this, so we'll get to that. But when I got in there and we saw this, talk to me a little bit and explain some of how you treat, knowing Bridget, the curatorial, because it's as I said, I walked in there, this is a curated show, so I could feel it and I can understand that. But because the audience might not do what I did, can you just explain maybe what are some of the considerations you had?
Yes, this new space, well, relatively new space that we have in Little River, it's a pretty tough space to do shows in. We were always a little bit nervous about every time we put together a show because it's not built as a gallery, so it has a lot of open space in the middle that it's always a challenge to fill in a way that makes sense. And yeah, we do curated shows since the inception of Homework, and we try to make them more experimental in a way that it's not a white cube gallery straight up or salon style like you mentioned. So every show we try to change up the space as much as possible. And Bridget was doing a residency there, which was our first ever residency there during the summer. And we thought it would be a cool experience for all of us to have her in the space, give her free reign to do whatever she wanted. And we would pop in and talk about the show, and really was a hand-to-hand curation and hand-to-hand curation and creation of the show, and discussing how we're going to present these works, the diorama, how is it going to go, all that up to the last light bulb we did together, which was a cool experience. And it's the first solo show that we have in that space.
Bravo. Brava.
Thank you. It was a
And
hard
Bravo.
space to fill. Yeah.
It's a good sized space. I mean, I don't want to. 1,700 square feet, maybe 1,500.
Around there, yeah. And there's a back room that we're not using, but yeah, it's
Oh, a project
a
space.
project
A
space.
project
Last
space.
thought, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And this all speaks to the fluidity, right? And then the the show itself, this idea which we spoke a lot about, or comes up without talking about the title, but really be going around and round with the idea of we're riding something that we're not steering, and I could get lost in that, but that's sort of the metaphor for life, right? You know, are we the pilots? Well, we like to think so. I'll leave it at that. But my point is, one of the things that I really enjoy are alternative spaces, maybe, or looking and seeing how artists, curators, gallerists are able to take a space and basically be able to simply transform it in these ways to do these things. And of course, over the decades, I've seen it done many, many, many times. And I also remember what was in the space. We all talked about that too. I remember what was in the space before. So kudos to that. How many pieces are in there? Because there's a lot of work.
Oh, we counted it the other day. It was kind of like, including all the bicycle and unicycles and paintings, it was kind of like 54 pieces.
54 pieces.
Yeah.
And for the audience, I'm going to tell you, I saw pieces that could fit in the palm of my hand. And then I saw some pieces that we might call almost institutional size, right? Some big wall pieces.
Big
There's a
paintings.
there's a diptych, which and we'll talk about that later. And then there's this. You talked about the center of the gallery, and there's this space that's difficult, and you pulled off. I call it's an installation.
Yes. Yeah.
And we'll talk about sort of my reaction to it and how my interpretation, because one of the things about Bridget that I have learned in the time that I've known her, she enjoys when the viewer interprets. So there's little interpretation from Bridget's not going to tell me what she enjoys to hear. Well, what is it? Not her meaning. So we're going to talk about that later. But that was a stopping point. It was a surprise because the walls and the sculptures, and then you sort of go around because it's a very central installation, and it's circular, so it also gives you a perpetuity that you could go around it. It doesn't feel like it's a beginning or an end, and very circus-like. Very circus-like. The tents and all that. So there's layers. I'm not really an art critic, so I'm not going to go that route. But can you talk to me about maybe that is a site-specific piece?
In a way, the installation as it's presented is site specific, but the artworks are their individual artworks. It was just the idea that Bridget had to present them as a diorama, as an environment. In my view, is to represent a system, and the system being the circus. But that system could be anything from a government to anything. You know. So,
and it's a system, and myself being very interested in systems and systems thinking, this was sort of without nudging. I looked at it, and it was a story about overworld and an underworld, and again. I looked under this, and for the audience, basically, there's a big circular top, like a massive, massive dining, the best cocktail table you've ever wanted to see.
For kids, yeah.
Yeah, a cocktail table, because it's not as high as a dining table, right? So it's lower, more like cocktail table size. American cocktail table, not European, not on the floor. and then you got the objects, you got the bicycles and you got the circus, you got the happening, and you could see its activity. And then if you look below, there's a space below what's holding all of this activity. And that's where I met a few of my friends. Those dirty rats.
The dirty rats.
So there's some rats, and they're down there having drinks. The bottles are tipped up to their mouths, and their feet are on the tabletops, on the desktops, and they're reclining. At that point in the show, that was a pivotal experience for me because it was a discovery. I didn't see the rats because they're in the underworld. And at that point, the gallery turned in a bit of a circus because I became very animated, and I was like, oh my gosh, here we are. So now I'm having a relationship with the dirty rats, and oh my God, the unions are coming to mind, and protests in New York, and labor economics, and off we go. And we will talk more about that. But the traveling, so many things came to. We believe, like, there are 3 dimensions that we know of, right? That we exist in, not that we know of, that we exist in. Mm-hmm. And I think I know this show, our meeting, and the magic that I did talk about earlier for the audience is nothing other than we came together as 4 individuals in the gallery space. But what occurred is we acknowledge that all of us understand that outside of the 3 dimensions, there are dimensions, and we were very present, aware, and consequently operating in them. Magic was happening in dialogue,
Yes.
in intention, in a reveal, and a sharing. And at that moment, one of the big things that's important to understand is the power of the art. Because we're at a time where we talk so much about art as a commodity, art as a tool, to make urban situations better or to help people, art as a teaching for the children. But, in all of those things, which we could, scientifically we have to justify maybe some things. I think what I like about art is the stuff that it doesn't have to justify. Mm. And this show, this occurrence, and this meeting, subsequent meetings, highlight the power of expression, intention, the physicality that went into this. But I'm here to say as a witness and to Bridget that whatever you're putting into this work is being received. It is broadcasting successfully. Either that or I have specific antenna that I'm tuned in. But and maybe all of the above. I think
everybody has an antenna.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, that these things to me highlight why as artists we often do what we do. And there's a lot of administration, there's a lot of linear activity because it is a business, it's a system of transactions. But I like the spirit of why we're in it, why I went. I was called to it. And that's really the most appropriate term. When I first was introduced to Bridget's work, and I described that to her, and we'll probably maybe talk a little bit about her first meeting and subsequent. And one of the first things I told her was I was called to it. At a time where I wasn't visiting much art, wasn't doing any openings, and not intentionally, just not. And being in Miami, and this was a nagging. And then all of the reasons that I was being nagged were revealed over a period of time. And that was in the work itself. That's in the artist and her spirituality, her story, her travels. Then to come to Homework Gallery, and then to discover oh my gosh, another another couple of like us. Um, and then so here we are. We're on a radio station having a chit chat to the public, just because.
Just because.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, no, better than that. It's not why not. It's because we have something to say. We had a lot to say that day.
Yeah, I remember that analogy that you made about the diorama reminding you of a city
Yes.
and how everybody plays in the city has they're playing a part, and then that the rats under it was like them in a way being themselves and being rebelling against the system above.
Right.
And I think that's exactly when I saw the show completed, it was these rats are against the system above it, and some of them are rebelling against it or planning rebellions. But it's a nice tie-in, you know.
It's fantastic. So for the audience, this is exactly what I said that day. I looked at this and I said, "Oh, this is an economic model. This is a model representing every major city in the world, and definitely New York City and London and a few others." I asked if there was any knowledge of New York City subways or the unions or the underground, and no direct reference. And so basically, what I saw was a series of characters from a circus coming to town. That's what happens. So now I'm an economist, so I'll put it in context. That's pretty much the metaphor for New York City. The circus comes to town. A bunch of characters with their own show and their own performance at various ages and abilities and whatever, but whatever it is, they're going to sling it, meaning it's going to be performed. And they all show up in the city. It's not their city, but they show city, and they're going to do this performance, and it's a bunch of different things. It's a variety. It's a circus show. And in that performance, and while that's all going on and they're doing their things, riding their bicycles and their tricks and their hats and their rabbits, below all of this is this world of threefold rats. I often laugh, and this is why why that piece stuck out to me and said, "Man, this is a great economic model. This is I could use this," because I often laugh that despite all of the productivity and the fetishizing of productivity in our daily lives as people walking around functioning in this system, the beneficiaries often are the rats, because they seem to be doing really, really well. And that's when I had a talk with your wife and said, "What are you talking about? I'm over and going on the MTA." I said, "The rats don't just go in the tunnel anymore. They take the train. They come on the car with me at 8, 9 o'clock at night if it's not full, and they get off at the other station." I said, they're thriving, especially after the pandemic. So I know it's cheeky and it's weird, maybe, but it is almost a direct metaphor for the system as it is functioning today. And this just looked to me like an economic model. I could not have drawn a better illustration if I wanted to show you a major city and what the economic system really looks like through my eyes in terms of the overworld. There are underworlds, and that's very much economics as a discipline is uncovering and all of that. So that was that piece.
The rats, yeah.
The rats.
Okay. So, should I talk about them?
Well, come on in, Bridget.
Where should
You,
I
you,
start?
don't- you know, you're here. Aurelio's here, and I think, maybe what we could do is you tell us about the rat. Just tell me, because this is my
They-
interpretation of the rat. I know you don't do this often, so
Yeah.
but you know what? Since this,
I've done it a few times, but
Yeah,
just in
so-
different ways, I
so
guess.
yeah, so
But
let's talk
the
about this
rats,
rat.
Like, were a really last minute thought to the whole diorama, actually. And towards the end of it, while I was setting it up, I actually wanted to make like 100 rats and have it really dense on the bottom of the diorama, but I kind of ran out of time. But yeah, I don't know. In my work, I like to have like a little element of surprise always. for any type of viewer, like a child or an adult or a teenager. And I also like for there to be, I guess, hidden moments in the work, because a lot of the time people walk into galleries or museums and like me, and I'm really quick to go through these things, you know? So I like to have works that kind of stop the viewer for a little bit, to kind of bring them like out of this like uptight kind of feeling that people get getting into a gallery or seeing a show, you know?
Yeah, they could be intimidating.
Yeah. So I guess they were the more like funny part of the whole show. They were kind of like the more inviting part, I guess. Yeah.
Well, as you could see, they invited this character, and I got stuck at that party below the table.
You did.
Good thing I did.
But like,
pop a bottle there. Another rat is coming to join you.
surprisingly, a lot of people loved the rats. Like they related to the rats the most. You know, they were crazy about them, and anytime they discovered a new one, they were so happy. You know, they were in a I don't know. They just felt funny. The people felt funny themselves. You know.
Well, yay for the rats. Maybe we're creating a little empathy, and I'll stop moaning and groaning about the rats on the MTA. Maybe we'll just start naming them and give them characters.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll just coexist. We're coexisting. Maybe we're just coming closer and closer, but we're being forced to merge by the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rats were kind of like also a bit rebellious. The whole rat diorama on the bottom was kind of called Break Room. So it was just a bunch of rats trying to relax and have a good time, although there's a lot of chaos and I guess mystery happening on top of the diorama.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a reason why I said
Yeah.
I got along with them really well. all of what you just described.
Yeah.
Relax, good time, a little rebellion. Why
They're
not?
real. They're real.
You know, we're not gonna. So, how are we doing? Everybody good? Should we have a little sip
Yeah.
of our drink?
Let's take a little break. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of Jolt coffee.
Yeah, a little Jolt coffee.
Shout out to Jolt Coffee.
back, Bridget.
Oh, that was a short
All
break.
right. Well,
Talk about a speedy break.
We have to be efficient.
We have to be fast because we're humans.
So we're riding, we're dreaming, we're not steering. Or are we? I don't know. These are some big questions. Carl Jung. There's a lot here. I'm going to let you speak, the artist, Bridget Hoffman.
Okay. My name sounds like a doctor's name.
Dr. Hoffman?
You can call me Dr. Hoffman.
Dr. Hoffman, today it is. It's Bridget Day. I declared that.
It is. It's Bridget Hour.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Where can I start? So the whole show consists of painting and sculpture, two of my favorite things. The third one is animation, but I didn't include animation in this one. And it's composed of, for the people who haven't seen it, it's like a big circular diorama in the center of a room. And it has a small world on top of it and on the bottom. And then the other parts were paintings, which kind of, to me, felt like backdrops for the whole thing, which usually happens a lot in my shows. Yeah. And the whole diorama is like comprised of a shit ton of bicycles. I have had this image in my mind for a very long time where I really wanted to make like a whole mountain of bikes. I don't know why, but...
It brings me back to our earlier conversation. I won't do dates and times because I'm date and time challenged, for those who might not know. But before this one, yeah, the bicycles, the movement, the traveling, the devices, the vehicles. So yes. And one thing I did notice, Bridget, is walking in, the elements, the crowd. I'll call it the crowd. Because when I'm looking, I mean, your work is, when I see your paintings, they're landscapes. I don't know if you would agree. And I like people watching. So it makes good sense why I'm attracted to your paintings, because they are sort of landscapes of various characters, filled elements, busy doing their thing.
Yeah, not obvious characters, I guess. And
No.
not very figurative, but they are like places, yeah.
Yeah. Tents and the wheels and and ladders.
Shit ton of ladders. I love
Ladders.
ladders.
Again, moving through places and spaces and time. How much of this, if any, is autobiographical?
Okay.
How much of any of that is you?
I think all of it and none of it.
All of it, none of it. So tell us a little bit about travel, because it's an occurrence, it's reoccurring, it's movement.
Yeah.
And so what when I say tell us about travel, it's this movement, it's the non-figurative, but I call them characters because
They are characters.
yeah, I'm a gardener, beetles,
Yeah, they're all characters.
butterflies, ants, they're
Yeah.
all.
A little cup is a character.
I'm talking to them all. You don't know if they're people
Yeah.
or not. So I'll look at your
Yeah.
and I'm like, they're the characters.
Yeah.
But yes, we'd established that from a long time ago. So what is this? What is the story of travel and movement and these realms?
Yeah.
They almost look like they're in a realm and
Yeah.
sort of doing different things in a realm. But you go ahead.
I think travel is a big part of my life, and it always has been since I've been a little girl. I've moved everywhere. I've gone to so many schools. I've lived in many different cities. I feel like I'm a soul of movement, basically. Like, I'm constantly moving, but I guess that's where a lot of the inspiration comes for the show, too, and also for the bicycles and why I always use that symbol of a bicycle or the wheel. Yeah.
Do you ride a bike?
I do. Yes.
You don't drive?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I can drive a car, and I have my license, and I love to drive a car. But I, I love bike culture. I lived in Germany for a long time, and bike culture over there is really big and kind of normal.
You're German and Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
And where in Germany were you?
I was in Hamburg.
That's right. That's where you went to school, right?
Beautiful city. Yep. Yeah.
Tell us just
It
a
was
little bit about that.
magical. What can I say? Yeah. So I mean, over there, I didn't have a car. I didn't really need one. I got everywhere on my bicycle, and I think it really allowed me a lot of freedom over there. But at the same time, I didn't feel like I was less than anyone else, if that makes sense, for not driving a car. You know what I mean? Like, we live in a really posh city in Miami, and it's normal for people to drive BMWs and Mercedes or whatever car, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's not much public transportation.
Right,
So
that also.
there's a lot of cars here.
Yeah.
But this is good. This is interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna. Neil is gonna get stuck on this. Does Miami indicate one is less than by not having a car?
No,
Okay.
but I think it could feel that way, and it could feel weird because there's also no bike paths. Like, people don't really take bike culture here seriously as a mode of like transportation, I think. But you can feel less than on a bike here, I feel, because you feel like you're moving through things a lot slower, and other people move a lot faster in their cars, obviously. But I also think that's a little bit of a blessing because it makes me take my life a lot slower, which I think is really important.
Yeah. There's a consciousness and a presence and an awareness.
Yeah.
For those who might know me in an academic setting, where I am sometimes, I have a mantra, eyes and ears open. And that's another way of saying awareness. And in my time knowing you and looking at your work, or even just discussing or being, that is something that is, as one spiritual being to another, is very palpable.
Right, yeah. Super important. Yeah. And I guess I feel that a lot on a bicycle, you know? All of your senses are awake. You're not really sleeping.
And dreams. So when we're not really sleeping and we're awake, there's this reality. Supposedly we're in reality. I'm not going to challenge any of those. So we'll leave it at that. Supposedly we're in reality. And now, so with this, the title of this exhibition is?
Yeah, Dreams Without Riders. Which also came from like a totally other idea that I had that I was also really inspired by. Just, I guess, the fact that people aren't really living the lives that they want to live sometimes. You know, that people do have dreams, but they don't necessarily follow them all the time. And I guess that's where like the riderless bicycles came from.
Yeah. It's considered an act of bravery in some texts.
Yeah, it is.
In order to live a life of one's dreams. And why would I say that or bring that up? Because we are, and this exhibition is very, as far as I'm concerned, and you said it, is very much about systems and the interplay of these systems and the characters within the system and how the characters are doing their folly and their play and the entertainment. And I don't know if I've ever told you, but I wasn't a fan of clowns or the circus.
Oh yeah, I hate them.
We have
So
had
scared.
this conversation. We have.
Yeah.
You see, this is where I'm going to get confused with the timeline, where I say, I don't know when I had this talk with
It's
you.
okay. Time doesn't exist.
Oh.
I just said that on live radio.
But, okay. But, all right. But the reason I bring it up is there's, I don't know if I want to classify it as a fear, but let's just say, I remember saying, well, I wasn't too into clowns in the circus. I know what it is. I don't like masks. So I don't like things that hide
Behind something else.
behind something else and present themselves. lots of metaphors here, so for situations, but it's not about that. Or it is about that. It's about all of it.
Mm-hmm.
What about yours? So that was, I mean, we both, and I remember having a laugh with you the first time because, of course, well, if you look at it from a superficial and you just say, oh my God, this is about the circus and and you clowns and da 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 da. And that's why I said, it's odd, that I was called to this show. I was called to your work, I should say. And I said, it's amazing I'm called to this work because I'm a guy that does not.
Like this kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the circus is
very
coming
repulsive.
to town. Neil was like, okay, I'll be out of town.
Yeah.
So how does it, how is this? These are, because if I'm not into something, and not even appealing to me, or like I said, almost wanting to run the other way, and then you didn't say, yeah, well, you were the opposite. You're like, we're same, and here they are, front and center, and this is a literal, right? I don't know if they're literally that, but that's the image that has taken. I know there's something beyond that, just like the 3 sculptures, Omen. So. Just so the audience is not with me, abstract out there. So it's 2 things. How does it feel with this imagery that we just agreed neither of us were really into and get feelings?
Yeah.
And then could you just take us, without me going on, to the Omen, which are 3 sculptures. Aurelio, can you give us sort of the approximate size of these sculptures?
They're about almost 20 inches. Almost 20 inches
3
high.
on a pedestal.
On a pedestal, yeah.
Yeah. And they're in an alcoves.
In
In their
alcoves.
own alcoves.
Each in their own alcoves.
In their own
with
alcoves.
their
So
own
again,
lighting.
talking to the
Yeah.
curated experience.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Bridget.
And the thing is, I don't know why I'm so attracted to making work like this, but I usually love making things that either scare me or that I think are hilarious. So I also feel like using those 2 kind of things in my work makes people pay more attention a little bit. Like, if you're scared shitless of something, you're going to look at it a little bit longer, I feel. And also, if you're, intrigued by something that's so funny, it's easier for people to take in information, I feel. And so I make a lot of my work in that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes complete sense. And something you just said, too, that scared shitless, and you might want to come to it. But then in that moment when you said that, it made me reflect something maybe other. And that is, I understand the imagery as a label. I already said clowns and circus stuff. But I wasn't shit scared. And I think that's the artist treatment that you brought that subject, that character that I don't like, the masked character, the fancy dress. You know what? Let me just present to you everything that I am not, which is what scares the crap out of me. Maybe because, in life you realize, shit, life's a
Always
circus.
as it seems, yeah.
People are doing this all day, every day.
Yeah,
It's
watch out, watch
You spend
out.
your whole life like, oh shit, I got to
Yeah.
figure out who is behind
Yeah,
the
you
mask,
need to have a
the
good
hat,
judge of character.
the title, all of that.
Yeah.
But to you, I'm saying that you. It wasn't that. It wasn't. There was none. And I think maybe that's the fascination where it became something very accessible to me that I normally wouldn't. It sort of became like I can't say cake because I'm not a big fan of that. Like a gummy bear. I'm a big fan of gummy bears. And you presented this circus and imagery to me, and it's
He's a big
coming
gummy bear.
with the.
I lured you in.
You lured me in. You did. You brought me in. You reeled me in.
I feel like, sorry to
No,
interrupt.
you're not interrupting. Go ahead.
Like a lot of her work, I identify with what you were saying about the clowns and how some way it draws you in. It reminds me of a childhood memory, being at a birthday party and seeing a clown on break smoking a cigarette. And it kind of took away that mask that we were talking about before of them trying to fit into this role that's not really them. And I feel like Bridget's work draws you in, and you can identify it in multiple levels, either just seeing it as something whimsical and playful, but you can go deep into it and see that it's about systems, it's about the self, it's about society and trying to fit into the society and free will. Like it draws you in, but it has a depth that's incredible. Like you can relate to it in multiple levels without feeling charged, without feeling overcharged or being lectured to.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will tell you. Like I said in the beginning, mine was Eureka. This is an economic model. So this cat, me, I would. I don't teach anymore that subject, but boy, I could hold a class on economics and systems in your gallery
Well, I would fucking love that.
around the show. Nothing to do with everything to do with art, but nothing to do with art as a subject. Because to me, it was a whole bunch of those. Anyhow, let's quick back to the show real quick. So the elements, and you have the characters, and I call them the characters. And one of the things that struck me is there's a lot of them in the landscapes, and then you start off, and then there's this, and I think those might be your earlier works, Bridget. And then there are some pieces in there. One, there's a diptych, a diptych, which I don't recall seeing one. So you could speak about the diptych because I think that's a very special occasion. There's also a collage, which I spoke to you about briefly, if you want to speak to that. And the busyness. So we call it. I spoke to you, and you said, yeah, they're busier, and the paintings and some of the new ones are less busy. And I was like, oh,
Yeah, it's like my mind.
yes. And I
As
said,
I
oh,
get older.
well.
Or quite the opposite, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a linear thing if it's as you get older, but I did say to you and acknowledge, I said, oh, are things quieter for you at this time in this stage?
Yeah.
Meaning in your mind, do you feel quieter?
Yeah,
And you
definitely.
said, definitely. And then there was something else I said afterwards. I said, well, yeah, the paintings are quieter, less characters, movement the same, but just less characters, less color. No, that's wrong.
Yeah.
There is strong use of color, less variations of color. And but the thing I said to you afterwards, I said, well, yeah, clearer thoughts, and it's clearer and less busy. I said, but it's opaque. Like there's like a wash
Yeah.
that's over those.
It's not clear.
Yeah, it's not clear. Okay, so that's we realize that is an association.
Yeah.
It is an expression. It's coming out,
Yeah.
right? There's less traffic.
Yeah. I think it's like because I think subconsciously I want things to be more like that, I guess, in the world. Or it could just be a reflection of what I think maybe the future is like. Hopefully things are a lot calmer and quieter. But the crazier paintings that you saw on the show, I did make most of them like about a year ago.
We'll say busier.
Busier times, yeah, busier times in my life and in the world around me. But these newer paintings are a lot quieter. It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to go more in this direction. So I guess I one day want to be a minimal artist. Or maybe not. I think I'll continue the way I am probably, but it's my dream to be more minimal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm here to say, I'll just enjoy watching you as your wheels roll down the hill and up the
Or
hill
up
on
the
the
hill.
I was just gonna say up the hill,
Up the hill and
sideways,
into the sky.
You might even pull out a pogo stick at some point and stop with the bicycle.
Whoa, good idea for a sculpture. Actually.
Okay, I don't want to be leading.
Yeah.
And then the collage. That
So
was
it's funny that you pointed that one out because this is a painting that we showed way in the back of the gallery with not so much lighting. It wasn't one of my favorites, but it was still special, I think, for the show. And that was like a piece from a collage series that I had started, but I've never really released them or kind of continued because I feel like collage is a little intimidating for me.
Well, okay. I love
Yeah.
that. And this is, to go back to Aurelio with the clown, maybe if I saw a clown take a smoke break, I wouldn't be traumatized today.
True. Ew, it's like the Santa Claus in Miracle on 34th Street who like has his belly and his ass fall out. And the kids are like, "Oh my god, no."
Yeah, so yes, it's exactly. It's almost like a relief, right? It's a relief. It's a validation of some sorts, and that's there. So what I want to be, or what your dreams.
Yeah.
You just declared them, but again with this,
One of them, yeah.
well, one of them, one of them with and again we're writers, but we're not necessarily staring, and that has to or does come back. And to Aurelia's point, and to this, so the collage, seeing that, yes, I was there to see your work. It would stand out because to me, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I've seen that, so I had to ask you a question. But it was, but the reason I mentioned and went back to the clown and the smoking and the cigarette, this is you smoking a cigarette, not my favorite. Yes, I did do a collage, Neil, and I asked a question about
basically.
it. And it was in the back of the room or whatever. But this is also, because the artist, the myth, this, and so for the audio, I mean, it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not me giving a permission or a license. Forget not that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this was a clown smoking the cigarette moment.
Right, for
Because
sure.
so often, yeah, I'll
have
say
that a
often.
lot,
No,
yeah.
I'll say often. You get an opening onto the gallery, and the artist is almost floating.
Yeah, super disconnected from the work, yeah.
Or not even that, but just floating, like
Yeah.
a star,
Yeah.
like the star, like whoa, this mythological creature genius, like this was tight. This is So when I like a collage, Bridget, yeah, well.
Maybe not.
Well, or maybe yes, but it's in development, and again, that's
Yeah. It was fun to make, yeah.
that's the travel.
Yeah.
That's the travel, and it's this non-production, the creativity, and
Yeah, I believe in playing,
oh,
not producing. I want to play all the time. Every day in my studio, I want to do what I want and make what I want and put it out.
right,
And then go to bed and wake up the next day and do the same thing, yeah.
and that's the other dimension that we opened this whole talk with. That this entire exhibit, this radio show, all of what is emanating out of your show at Homework Gallery is we are honoring the dimensions beyond the three. We're honoring the magic. We're honoring the fun that happened, the occurrences, I'll snap my fingers because it came to mind and it felt right.
It felt so right, and
that's it.
it felt so weirdly predestined. Like me working with these guys, like everything just flowed so perfectly. It's incredible, and it's super eerie to me sometimes. But I also feel so comfortable in the whole situation because I'm like, oh my god, this was supposed to happen. Like I was supposed to meet these people, Like
Oh yeah.
I think I literally manifested Homework Gallery into my life. I was like, I just want to work with good people, dude. And people who let me do what I want and have trust in me. And then we can make shit happen. And that's who they were for me.
And when you know these things, you what's that called? The law of attraction. You can attract, and that goes back to our first meeting. And when we first met, we realized, like, yes, I don't know, but I think I need to meet you. I'm going to come down and see this. And I told you, I'm like, this is like a calling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this.
I
And
love that type of shit. Yeah,
and
I
we
think
got
everything
there,
in life is like that.
and we had discussions on, like to what we're having here. And it goes on because I later discovered recently that there are personal life situations that we have a parallel, something that you'd been through, something that happened to me this year, and I had no idea of that, and there's these other parallels. And all this is to say that when we honor, and this is why we're celebrating this on a radio show, not just to say there's a great exhibition, and this artist and this homework gallery that's doing things and done them and is agile, flexible, and sustained and moving. We're not institutional fixtures. We move, we do stuff elsewhere and around, but it's to that day, and then there's a third character that actually happened. So I'm going to say this on the air because it was kind of like a do 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 the first time we met. So the first time Bridget and I met was in a space, and I was looking at the work, and we had this sort of aha, and it was well within the context of the topic of this show, and then somebody walked into the space, and I was sitting, and a reader, what do you call it? A tarot reader, walked into the space, and I'm going to wrap it up right now, because we're going to get onto the show. But what occurred is the tarot reader, I said, oh, and she said, my car broke down. I was on my way, and it stopped here. Yeah. And when she came in and we met, she did my reading, and it's like, now I know why my car stopped. And she was pulled into the show. She experienced the show. Yeah. Well, to this day, she's still in touch with me. So some serious things happened on that calling. Anyhow, Aurelio, what do we have to look forward to at Homework Gallery before we wrap this thing up?
Well, we have a workshop on Sunday. Bridget's leading a workshop for kids on Sunday at 11 to 1, a clay workshop. After that, we have a closing party on October 4th, Saturday, October 4th. And then we take a little break, and we have another opening October 18th. Ilse Peredo, she's a photographer. And then for Art Week, we're doing Untitled this year again, and we're having a solo booth with Roscoe B. Thick III. It's a Miami photographer we've worked with in the past as well, and we're looking forward to all of that.
Wonderful. Roscoe. I had the good fortune of following Roscoe in a residency upstate New York.
Osmos, right?
Yeah, Osmos. And I was in a barn, not knowing anything, and I was in the studio barn working on my project, and I looked at the barn door, and I saw Roscoe B. Thick written on the door. And I still have to go back upstate and write my name. I think I'm the one who never wrote his name anywhere. I got to get down with this. But anyway, I think anything else?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, thank you. This is so
beautiful
cool.
conversation.
Well, thank you, Jolt. Thank you, Homework Gallery. Thank you, Bridget, for inviting me for us to have a dialogue and a conversation, a winding one.
Of course.
One that sort of acknowledges elements and dimensions that
we
aren't
talked
in our
about some
everyday.
funny things.
And I'm going to say, look, it's to be experienced, it's to be felt, and that's the beauty of art. That's why we go, rain or shine, we hit the streets. So
Go to the shows.
yeah, you got to go to that show.
Right.
All right.
Love you.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.